The UFO story has just entered one of its most crucial turning points. I know it's been a while, so let's jump in. Over the course of 2023, we've seen the UFO story enter every aspect of popular culture, from official government hearings within the US, Mexico, and Brazil, to the start of new research programs at esteemed academic institutions like Harvard and Stanford, as well as the rise of robust civilian UFO advocacy platforms like the one I released in September, UAPcaucus.com. We've also seen the DoD release their new UFO reporting website. NASA announced a new director of UAP research, as well as their independent study team report. We had a public hearing with 3 whistleblowers, 2 with firsthand experience, 1 with an allegation that the U.S. government has been running a UFO crash retrieval and reverse engineering program outside of the oversight of Congress for several decades. The Department of Defense launched their new UFO reporting website, as well as other federal agencies, including Customs and Border Protection, as well as the Department of Energy, both launching their own dedicated website landing pages for their own UAP videos and encounters. This all sets the backdrop for what is the most consequential action that has taken place this year, which was the passing of the UAP Disclosure Act of 2023 by the Senate in late July. The UAPDA mandates the creation of a 9-member independent review board that will be presidential appointed and Senate confirmed, that will get to decide what the American public, and subsequently the world, gets to learn know about the U.S. government's involvement with any non-human intelligence, technical vehicle, or biologics. The UAPDA was introduced in the Senate in July by this bipartisan group of 6 senators, including 2 members of the Gang of 8, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, as well as Vice Chairman on the Intelligence Committee in the Senate, Senator Marco Rubio. The new legislation is deadly serious. It has real teeth, and it's not about drones or balloons or weather or black budget federal government or even black budget private aerospace platforms. It is very specific about technical vehicles or biologics of non-human origin, and it is a priority for the Senate.
And finally, I'm pleased the NDAA will include my amendment on increasing transparency on UAPs, or unidentified anomalous phenomena.
And we know that it is a priority for the Senate regardless of which end of the political spectrum you look to. So if you're not a big fan of Senator Chuck Schumer, that's okay. Look no further than ranking member of the Senate Armed Services Committee and Republican Senator Mike Rounds, who, when asked why was the term non-human intelligence used 26 times in the UAPDA, his response was, "It was not by accident." Not only was it not an accident, we also got confirmation from Senator Rounds that several federal agencies that will ultimately have to comply with the mandates set forth within the legislation participated in the creation of the language such that it would not come as a surprise to anybody. These are the 24 federal agencies that are specifically listed within the UAPDA that will have to comply with the new mandate, and it is a who's who of UFO rumors. If you look closely, there are a couple of very interesting selections that signify that they know what they're looking for. As you see in the second row, we have the inclusion of not only the Manhattan Project, but the Atomic Energy Commission, and here at the bottom we have both the Department of War as well as the Air Force Office of Special Investigations. Okay, but why is this all transpiring right now of all times? Well, this process started about 6 years ago when the New York Times released an expose on AATIP, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. AATIP was the first publicly acknowledged government UFO program since Project Blue Book in the 60s, and as a result of that article coming out on December 17th, 2017, a slew of current and former government officials began giving classified briefings to the armed services and intelligence committees within the Senate about their experiences with an alleged UFO crash retrieval and reverse engineering program. As a result of those classified briefings, Congress passed several amendments within the NDAA and the IAA for 2021, 2022, and 2023. Recall that the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, is passed every year to fund the military, and the IAA, the Intelligence Authorization Act, is passed every year to both fund and mandate changes for the intelligence community. So as a result of all of this work over the last 6 years, the classified briefings, the hearings, the reports, reviewing evidence, Congress determined that they needed to create a whole-of-government approach in order to enable the public to become fully informed about the history of the federal government's knowledge and involvement surrounding unidentified anomalous phenomena. And over the course of the 64 pages in this bill, they're very clear for what the justification is for this type of whole-of-government approach. Number one, there needs to be a process that's independent, accountable, and most importantly, enforceable. We also know for a fact that they know for a fact where the bodies are buried, because this provision, which is very specific, has long been rumored as the way by which the classification authorities within DoD have been hiding the UFO crash retrieval and reverse engineering program. And it is by way of this specific designation for classified information called transclassified foreign nuclear information. And they've been using this to be able to avoid congressional oversight. This has been alleged for a very long time. And the fact that it made it into this legislation means that they know that that is actually what's being used in order to hide this information. Another justification provided is that the current FOIA process, Freedom of Information Act requests, is not sufficient to get into these compartmented programs. And if you've been following my channel, this is one of the most interesting pieces of information. A lot of times people think the government is a monolith. It's one singular body moving in lockstep towards a shared goal. But we have to remember that the government is composed of 3 branches: the judicial branch, the executive branch, and the legislative branch. In the case of the UFO topic, my theory of the case has been that we are seeing an authentic, organic, constitutional struggle between the legislative branch and the executive branch over who has the authority over UFO materials. But even above and beyond that specific theory of the case, this specifies an allegation that many people have been saying, which is that these crash retrieval programs have contracted out the actual materials, the actual craft, and the bodies to private aerospace and defense companies. And now that the US government is trying to repatriate, to take back possession of those materials, those private entities are saying, go kick rocks. So in this justification, notice that it says that it's necessary to restore proper oversight over UAP by elected officials in both the executive and the legislative branches, because it seems like both are being left out in the cold by private aerospace. This is just scratching the surface, but the UAPDA in its current form, as it was passed by the Senate and is now in negotiation with the House, is the public's best chance to pry information out of the government as it pertains to the allegation that they have been operating a UFO crash retrieval and reverse engineering program and are in possession of multiple spacecraft of non-human origin as well as non-human biologics. The UAPDA is a part of a larger bill, the National Defense Authorization Act for 2024. That is currently in negotiation between the Senate and the House. The Senate version includes the UAP Disclosure Act, but there is opposition within the House for including all of the language within the UAPDA. Specifically, Chairman Mike Turner, who is in the House representing Ohio and is also in the pockets of defense and aerospace. So over the last 3 weeks, I've been hosting call campaigns with several other creators using my platform UAPcaucus.com, which has this amazing tool that outlines the current legislative goals, the underlying core allegations for the UFO programs, as well as a target list of the senators and representatives currently negotiating with built-in scripts and a click-to-call button. This is the most important thing we can be doing to make our voice known. And just so you know, for the negotiations for the new Speaker of the House, they are demanding, because of our calls, a select committee on UAP. Check it out.